What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Scarlet Witch, issue number 7. And issue number 6, what we had seen is the return of the clone of Magneto, the man known as Joseph. He has made his way to the Emporium. He has come searching out Wanda, and though yet we don't really understand his reasoning on why he has shown up, where he has been, and what has been going on with him, everything going on with Joseph is gonna have to take a pause, because there is about to be an individual that comes through the last door, one that is going to need help in the Ideaverse, one that is going to take us to the wonderful world of Oz. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up in the Emporium. And when Wanda first sees Joseph, her immediate thought, this is my father. This is my adoptive father. And she can't believe this, because Magneto, defender of Araco, dead in its soil. She could never let herself dream of a return, even if it's happened before. But now she must wonder, how is this possible? That if this is some kind of trick, she pities the trickster. And of course, Darcy chiming in, really just hitting on Joseph. Joseph goes on to say that he knows that this is a shock, but he is not here to trick her. What he remembers is a flash of a sword, the surreal sight of his own body. And then he remembers a light, the wet stink of organics, chemical preservatives, of mad science, a decrepit old lab before Krakoa, and something familiar, a genetic site. And that's when he says, sinister, plans and plans, plans gone awry. He was gone, and then Joseph was alone. He couldn't starve, so he left, but his face made the streets dangerous. He had nowhere else to go, nowhere else but the Emporium. That he was dead, but now he has been reborn. But he is no Magneto. He is only his copy, his clone. And though he wishes he could say otherwise, he does apologize to Wanda for her loss. And so Wanda needs a moment. The truth is, she probably needed a moment for a long time now. But Joseph is fully aware of the things that have taken place, even trying to force Magneto back into terrorism, even dabbling himself. But he had been manipulated. He was not well. And so he did those things, and he was beheaded for them. This, of course, taking place in Uncanny X-Men number 16 of 2019. And he knows how hard it is for her to see his face. But right now, mutants are global fugitives, because this story is taking place after the Hellfire Gala of 2023. Krakoa has fallen, and he refuses to surrender to Orcus. He is alive, and he wants to start again. Who else is left that could possibly understand this more than the Scarlet Witch? Asking Darcy which door Joseph had stepped through, wondering maybe he stepped through the last door. But in this circumstance, that's not the case. And as they look behind them, the last door opens up. This is where we see Nelson Gruber, a very rude individual, almost misogynistic. But he goes on to say that if it is written, then he can wield it. He can breathe life into it. That he builds kingdoms of worlds as lesser men use bricks. But today, he was betrayed. He was betrayed by subjects that shouldn't even exist without him. And while Darcy goes on to make a comment about this guy only ruling over a kingdom of subreddit, Wanda says that if he came through the last door, that means he has nobody. And Joseph must say that this man didn't get a crown without pain. Enough pain, and sure, you want to help, but this man doesn't have a right to ask for it. That he is no angel. But what Gruber is saying is that he touches books, and he makes them real. But the freedom is too much for some. These ideas, they can lash out, at least once they realize that they are truly alive. But Wanda's lets it be known that regardless of what Nelson has done, her door is open to all. And she is not ignorant on who this man may be. But she is not one to shackle others to their past. This is where we see that Nelson is missing a hand, saying that it was some woman, that he gave her life, and that crone, she dismembered him. As a child, Nelson, he loved Oz, the great and powerful. He wanted that, because who wouldn't? And so he did it. He made the wonderful land of Oz real, a gift to the kid who wore that first edition out. His hands had graced that page like the hand of God, pulled their stories into reality, and all he wanted was the throne. But instead of them being thankful, he was attacked. He was attacked by the Wicked Witch. They took his hand and bound it to the book to anchor Oz to this world. That the Wicked Witch of the West, she killed her rivals, stole the silver shoes, and he was barely able to escape with his life. And so Nelson wants them destroyed, with Wanda saying that she will not reject him, to take her to Oz. But she says that no one is getting destroyed. This is what takes us to Texola, Oklahoma. We arrive at Oz, a yellow brick road headed directly for Emerald City, with Nelson going on to say that Texola was a ghost town, and so he made Splendor of Squalor, that without him, every person of Oz would still be a figment of a dead man's imagination. As they begin to walk down the yellow brick road, this is where the army of flying monkeys descend down on them, with Wanda going to try and take these monkeys out. The first attempt, it doesn't work. This makes Wanda wonder, what witch have you conjured up? Nelson telling her that the silver shoes make her unstoppable, that if you can't beat her, she must be banished, to pull his hand from the book and send her back into the pages, with Wanda wanting to avoid a fight. With a puff of smoke, we see the two brought to the Emerald Gates, the wizard standing at the gate greeting the Scarlet Witch, with Nelson tied up in chains. Wanda has made it appear as if she is bringing a prisoner to the witch, anchoring Nelson down so that he can't move. And as Wanda approaches the staircase, this is where she sees the witch at the top. Along with her are her 3 attack dogs, the Scarecrow, the Lion, and the Tin Dog. With Nelson going on trying to say something, Wanda shuts him up, lets him know that witches are currently talking. But the Wicked Witch is letting Wanda know that she is yet to learn her place. And Wanda knows her place quite well. Her place is upsetting witches who don't respect the craft, that witches aren't oppressors. But with the Wicked Witch having the silver shoes, she says that she is the one with power. Here in this world, she is not a good witch or a bad witch. She is the witch. As the dialogue truly begins, Wanda tells her that you drive people to your will. You dismember a man, unsavory or not. Nelson, he raised this kingdom and abused it. But now you are doing the same thing. Because Texola, this is not Oz. It is a real place with real people who need their home back. None of them asked for this. And so what she is asking the witch is to return back to the pages of the book. And of course, the witch just laughs in her face. Taking this opportunity, she gives a sucker punch to Wanda. And Wanda lets her know that that was a mistake. That bound to this book, his hand isn't just an anchor. It anchors the witch's powers. It anchors them in his world. Here in this land, she wields Oz's greatest talismans. That there is nobody that can stop her. This is when she sends the attack dogs. Sending the 3 boys right after Wanda, Wanda transforms them into cute little puppy dogs. With the witch insulted, saying that the bookworm fled away. Speaking on Nelson, saying that he can't escape justice a second longer. And Wanda says that he won't, but neither will you. And Wanda knows that this lady, she fears the rainstorm. Wanda could make this happen with a snap of her fingers, but she doesn't wish death upon her. That the witch can still yield before this gets out of hand. But the witch, she goes on to attack Wanda, believing that she has earned this throne, that it is her time to rule. And Wanda tells her that both of you are terrible people, that you wouldn't stop the pain. You have simply passed it down. Nelson may have conquered your world, and so now you conquer his. And what of all the humans that you have pulled into his petty manipulation? That these stories, they deserve a just ending. This is where Wanda waves her hand, and those silver slippers, they wind up on her feet. The 2 of them switch places. And now that happy ending is just upon them. As Wanda takes that hand off of the book, we see the Land of Oz being sucked back in. Along with it is Nelson. And as Nelson lands in the Ideaverse, and Nelson is met by a handful of individuals, from the captain that hunted down Moby Dick, to the story of Jekyll and Hyde, Nelson will forever be in the Ideaverse. This is what takes us back to Lotkill. Wanda showing up at the Emporium with Joseph waiting on the outside. We see them talk about Nelson, talk about the Ideaverse, talk about starting again. And so while the two of them hug, we take over to the Kingdom of Otherworld. A little tidbit from what is to come for Gods, the Jonathan Hickman story. We are picking up with the vampires. We are picking up with a man by the name of Dimitri. And while the vampires, they prepare to feast on Dimitri, his device tells him that they will not stop at a nibble or two. Asking what the worst case scenario is, it tells him because of the supernatural and scientifically unnatural advantages provided to him as a proxy of the powers that be, there is a less than 1% chance that you are successfully turned, enthralled, or killed. There is, however, a 3% chance that you end up married. This is what takes us to Helltown. We have the Hexfinder, and the Hexfinder appears to be coming for revenge because her pain stretches back centuries. Witches had betrayed her people, and now she seeks out Wanda. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Another fun story. I wish that we had focused more on Joseph with his appearance, but obviously that story is being sidelined for whatever is yet to come. The little tidbit on Gods, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what to expect from Jonathan Hickman when it comes to his Gods. But we saw them playing a part in the Hellfire Gala. They have been going around and asking questions, trying to figure out what's going on. And though we have yet to fully understand what their impact is going to be in the grand scheme of the Marvel 616, obviously it is going to be hugely impactful. But when it comes to the overall story of this, I did enjoy it. With Oz now being public domain for a little while now, I enjoy people taking the opportunity to take Oz and make it their own in some way, shape, or form. My favorite of these so far has been David Pepose, the man who has been writing Savage Avengers or was writing Savage Avengers for a while. He has his own indie comic which is known as the OZ, or the Occupied Zone, which essentially sees the Land of Oz turned into a factioned out war zone. And so any opportunity to take the Land of Oz and make it their own, I'm a huge fan of. And this was a lot of fun. Besides the fact that they made Nelson some misogynistic, horrible individual, it felt rather pointless to the overall story. You could have simply said that the man was a tyrant and wanted to take Oz as his own, and it wouldn't felt like you were trying to push some kind of message. But let's be real, there's definitely individuals like Nelson out there in the world. In my own personal life, I know a handful of them. Now, when it comes to the overall stories of Scarlet Witch, they're not necessarily bad, but they're not the greatest stories either. We have been jumping from one story to the other. The idea of The Last Door is a fun and enjoyable story, but how long can you continue this on? How long before people finally get bored of just seeing random people show up and Scarlet Witch going to save them? The truth is, Scarlet Witch has a tremendous amount of power. In this story, the Hellfire Gala, the events of X-Men essentially being taken out has already happened, yet Wanda, she's sitting here still in the Emporium dealing with the Last Door. You would think that she would close up shop and go help mutant kind, especially considering that she created a mutant heaven, yet she is being sidelined and not doing anything. With her tremendous amount of power, it is such a disappointment not to see her out there in the fight. Hopefully, this is going to change soon. Hopefully, this Last Door stuff will be put to the side so that she can focus on what is actually happening in the world that is affecting millions and millions of people. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is gonna get you completely caught up on everything going on with the Scarlet Witch. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you are unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.